Hello, conscious creators. Aloha from Hawaii. It's an honor to be here today with all of you. My name is Dr. Amber Jade Ellington. I am a naturopathic doctor, which means that I focus on natural ways of healing the mind and body, quite different from how Western medicine works, but also incorporating that here and there. I am also a yoga teacher, and I am also a Reiki practitioner. So energy healing, my practice is very much focused on healing the whole person, mind, body, and soul. So I work on a lot of mental health and energy healing, as well as sprinkles of nutrition, herbal medicine, environmental medicine, and how to detox and clean your environment, and so many other things. I also really love working with gemstones and Chinese medicine, so many things. But today, well, let's begin first of all with, so I live in Hawaii. I'm on the big island of Hawaii. I wonder if anyone here has got to visit this beautiful magical island. I just moved here in June from Arizona, where I was at for about 10 years off and on. But I am originally from Hawaii. I'm from the island of Oahu, which is has Honolulu and Waikiki, those popular areas. So I'm on the big island of Hawaii in Kona, and you may have heard on the news that the volcano erupted here. It was on Monday, November 28th. So very recently, and this isn't just any volcano. Her name is Mauna Loa, but she is actually the largest active volcano on the whole planet. She's actually been slumbering for the past 38 years. And we've been getting tiny earthquakes here, and we thought like, oh, she may be erupting soon, and sure enough, she did. Luckily, she erupted in a part of her crater where the lava flows. It doesn't affect any communities, but it is kind of threatening one of our main highways that connects two parts of the island. So very interesting times here, but you can feel the power. It's called the mana, the power, the energy in the air here. It's healing, transformative times. And I am happy to be here going live while all of this activity is going on in my home. So going along with that, actually, the volcano erupted, which is awesome, magical, but it's also been kind of a high stress moment for a lot of people here. And of course, it's the holidays. Stress is already just a little heightened at this time of the year. But people were stressed, of course, because the volcano erupted. We don't know where the lava is going to flow or how long it's going to flow, where the volcanic gases will be blowing that day, creating they call it fog. It's like smog, but it's volcanic pollution. It mostly has a lot of sulfur in it. But, so yes, it's been a little stressful here. And it goes along with our topic today that we'll be talking about, which is all about stress management. We're going to start with what stress is exactly, or what we think it is, because it's kind of it's a word that means a lot of different things to different people. And every human, for sure, experiences stress. And the difference between the stresses is how we choose to respond to it, how we manage it. And that makes a huge difference. So the human beings were actually designed to be able to experience stress and to react to stress. So having stress, it's not necessarily a bad thing. We are designed to do it. We are supposed to feel and experience stress. There's 3 or so different types of stress. First, there would be like physical stress. So these are stresses that happen to the physical body, such as if you undergo a surgery, or if you're in, say, a car accident and have injuries. Any kind of injuries are like a physical stressor to the body, and they have to get on healing it right away. A lighter form of physical stress is exercise, actually. Super cardiovascular, like heavy exercising, the body can actually interpret that as stress. And sometimes that kind of stress, when you're already super stressed, isn't the best to be adding on, but we will get to that later. There is also mental emotional stress. So this is the type of stress that you experience perhaps when dealing with family. We love our family, but yes, sometimes it can also be stressful, or with our friends and inner circle, dealing with those kind of situations. Also, any kind of stress you may experience at work, in the workplace, that can also cause like mental emotional stressors. And then there is psychological stress. So this type of stress is like when you're watching the news or scrolling through your social media scroll and maybe coming across topics that just bother your psyche, just bother you, and create this negative emotion within you. That's a type of psychological stress when you take that on from the media and the news that's around you. And then another example of psychological stress would kind of be like when you're stressing your own self out, and you kind of have these like negative words and thoughts and feelings just kind of on a repeat going through your mind. That's also like a psychological stress that you kind of imposed on yourself. But luckily there are ways to control all of these stressors in one way or another. So let's discuss common ways that stress is experienced in the body. We'll start with the physical body once again. So the biggest way that I've noticed stress affect people, and I see all the time, is high blood pressure, hypertension. So your blood, it should be able to flow freely, smoothly through our blood vessels. Stress, tension, it helps that blood not to flow as smoothly, which is not good. So when you're able to relax those blood vessels, relax the muscles, relax your mind, body, soul, blood pressure tends to come down. So high blood pressure is huge. Anything like with the heart, if you feel your heart racing, going really fast, it's called tachycardia, when your pulse goes over 100 beats per minute. That's a sign of stress. Another sign would be palpitations, when you feel like your heart's almost beating out of your chest, just beating really, really powerful. That is stress-induced oftentimes. Another common thing are digestive issues. So whether that be like indigestion, gas, bloating, particularly constipation. Constipation is huge with stress, as well as its contrary, diarrhea. So any digestive issues, stress is usually playing a factor, among other things, of course, but underlying, there's going to be stress that needs to be addressed. Let's see, thyroid issues. Thyroid's located in the neck here, controls all sorts of activities that our body does. And so hyperthyroid or hypothyroid, Hashimoto's autoimmune disease with the thyroid, stress makes those all worse. Headaches are common, migraines, stress. Hormone imbalances of any kind, so the sex hormones, in particular get very affected. Infertility, stress is a factor. The body doesn't want to produce another life when it's under super stress. It's dealing with a lot of other things at that time that need to be relieved and healed. Chronic fatigue, always feeling tired, stress. Any kind of aches and pains, tension in the body, stress. And then, yeah, that's a lot of common physical signs of stress. You may experience one of them or a great majority of those. And that would be a sign that you need to implement and work on stress management. It's okay to feel stress. It's all about how you manage it. Let's see. There are also mental, emotional signs of stress. The most common that I see is actually a feeling of anxiety, which is very common here in the world right now, it seems. Anxiety, so feeling anxious, you can feel anxious from here and there, of course. It's also just a regular common emotion and feeling, but when you feel it constantly, every minute, every hour, every day, that is a huge sign that your stress management skills can be improved. Feelings of nervousness, irritability, such as if you are, I don't know, out Christmas shopping right now and you have to stand in long lines, or it's super crowded, or people are just not behaving nicely towards each other. That kind of irritability and those kind of situations can trigger a stress response. Depression and feeling just generally overwhelmed are also feelings of stress taking over. A little bit of science and biology behind the stress reaction in the body. You may have heard of the fight or flight reaction. So back in the day, when our ancestors did have to protect themselves from huge predators such as lions, saber-toothed tigers out in the world, stress striking, like triggering that stress reaction was like, it was life or death. Now, this fight or flight reaction occurs in modern society when it's not necessarily life or death. So we need this reaction to happen to save our lives sometimes, but oftentimes things that are triggering this aren't as it once was back in the day. So our fight or flight reaction response happens too often. There are two sides, two parts of our nervous system, which is our brain and all of our nerves in our body, and there is the sympathetic response, which is that flight or fight reaction, that like, I gotta go now. And there is the parasympathetic response, which is very calm. Calm is calm is the main thing. It's the opposite of the stress. Peace, calm. It's called the rest and digest phase instead of fight and flight. So there's flight or flight, and there's rest and digest. So when you're in your sympathetic nervous system too much, fleeing or fighting, that is when stress becomes an issue, and it can start to create those physical symptoms that we just mentioned, as well as the mental, emotional symptoms that we just mentioned. There is a hormone in our body, it's called cortisol. You may have heard of this. It is our stress hormone. It is what's released when we get that stress feeling, and it's what triggers that fight or flight reaction in the body, cortisol. And it is released from our adrenal glands, which are these tiny glands that live on the top of our kidneys in our back. They also release adrenaline to get you going as well. But cortisol, too much cortisol is a problem. And it's kind of a rampant problem that I see in my practice. And then when you have too much cortisol from too much stress reacting, you are just pumping out so much cortisol to like deal with these stressful feelings that your adrenals become what we call fatigued. They are exhausted from cranking out cortisol so that you can deal with these stress reactions and get through life. Hi, Jean. So adrenal fatigue is something that I see very commonly as well. It's a stress reaction, and there are ways to help healing your adrenals. Western medicine doesn't really address this much at all, but there are lifestyle choices that you can make and herbs, minerals that you can take to start helping to repair your adrenal glands from pumping out all of that cortisol. But that could be for another talk. So there are 3 types of stress, 3-ish. The first one I want to talk about is called, it's acute stress. These are stressors that happen suddenly and usually just once or not very often. For example, the death or the loss of a loved one, that would be an acute stressor that the body has to adjust to. Or getting into a bad accident where the physical and like the mental, emotional body can be shaken up by that. Or any kind of traumas that just occur, any incidences where it's just few and far between. Those are acute, and those usually hit really hard and really fast. Next, there is episodic stressors. These are stressors that occur just here and there. Perhaps it's stressors that occur when you like speak to a certain person, or if, say, you feel more stressed around your time of the month, ladies. So episodic stressors. And then there's also chronic stress, which is actually what I would say is the most dangerous. And these are the stressors that happen to you on a daily basis, pretty much. So if you are at a job that you are not happy with, and like maybe don't like your coworkers too much or your boss too much, and like it creates stress within you, those kind of things are very bad for your health. And say sometimes even just family can be a stressor. So stresses in the house, chronic stress. Okay. Now I would like to speak about, we're going to get into good ways to manage your stress, but first we will speak about ways that people kind of handle stress in unhealthy manners. So an unhealthy way of handling stress would be like resorting to alcohol or to any kind of recreational drugs or substances. Those are generally unhealthy ways of handling. Smoking, unhealthy. Other ways commonly that I see is with food. So overeating or undereating, creating some kind of eating disorder is not the best way to deal with stress. Some people resort to more kind of recreational, fun ways of dealing with their stress, but this can be like shopping. Not bad for your health or anything, but it's kind of escaping away from what needs to be dealt with, what the stressor is actually. Some people resort to sex, not unhealthy, but also could be an escape mechanism. And like gambling, that's another common one that I see too. So in naturopathic medicine, the best way to kind of treat anything is to prevent it in the first place. Prevention is the best cure. That's one of our 6 principles of naturopathic medicine. Prevention is the best cure. So learning how to recognize stress in your body, stress in your mind, stress in your emotions, becoming more mindful and aware of conscious of how your body feels when it is stressed is huge. And this takes practice. For some people it may happen overnight and be like, hey, I now know when I feel stressed and I know how to mitigate these feelings in my body, but oftentimes it takes practice. So first, becoming mindful is huge. Meditation will help with that, and just being more conscious and aware of your surroundings and your daily life, and then starting to catch yourself when you notice that stress so that it can't get out of control and cause more harm. Another way to prevent would be determining and deciding what is emotionally draining to you, what just like pulls at your energy and depletes you, and deciding to cut those ties, or at least sever them a bit. Set boundaries so that you don't trigger your stress response when those interactions occur. And then just avoiding any kind of triggers. So yeah, people have different triggers of what makes them feel stressed, but learning what it is that triggers you and trying to reduce those occurrences, a great way to just prevent stress before it happens. And we discussed the unhealthy ways of how one could handle stress, and prevention would be learning what a healthier alternative would be for you to relieve your stress. So maybe going out in nature, or taking a nice bath, or cooking yourself a healthy meal, singing a song. Plenty of ways that you can relieve your stress in a healthy way that you enjoy. Now we will move into stress management itself. Let me take a sip of water here. Okay, so a big way that is helpful in managing stress and relieving it is exercise. And I know earlier I mentioned how exercise could be interpreted by the body as a stressful occurrence. So if you are super high stressed, don't do exercises that like get you too sweaty or like get your heart racing even more. Sometimes that's too much and your body is just it's not going to like it. So if you feel more tired after your workout instead of energized, then that workout was just too much. So light exercises. So I'm a yoga teacher, and there's different types of yoga. So there's yoga that you can do where you get all hot and sweaty and it's more like a physical workout. And then there's yoga that is very calming, relaxing, soothing to the nervous system, which is more the type of yoga that I do like to teach, like slow flow yogas, yin yoga, restorative yoga. But even just stretching, it doesn't have to be yoga, just moving and stretching, getting that energy moving in the body. It's great for stress management. Going for a nice walk, great. Another way to manage and also to prevent stress taking a toll on your body would be making sure that you're just taking care of your body overall. Feeding it healthy, clean food, giving it adequate, good sleep. That helps to prevent stress taking a toll on your body, and it also is great at managing it. So just being more conscious and aware of that. Management, helping to speak or express your stress to another person. So just talking about it can be good to a receptive listener. If you don't have anyone that you would like to talk to, about it. Even just writing it down is excellent, just journaling it out. And some people, they don't like to journal, I find, because they're worried about somebody finding it. So I say that you can just journal, write all this stuff and get it out of you, and then you can just burn that paper after, like just kind of ceremoniously if you want to, and just choose to let it go. Let's see. So writing. Another great practice is to place yourself in the attitude of gratitude. So if you're feeling stressed or just like not liking a situation or like the way that you're feeling in that stressful moment, bring your mind into things and people that you are grateful for. So switching that narrative that's going on in your mind of things that are just like, this isn't going right, and bring it into what is going right. What are you grateful for? What are you thankful for in this moment? And focus on that a bit more. Another stress management skill would be, and you may do this already, but it's setting goals for yourself. And these goals, they're tiny little like focuses of where do you want your energy, how do you want your life to go? And we're just putting it out there, planting the seeds, and of course life is going to do its own thing too, but we put the seeds out there, we put the goals out there, and you can set these goals for your day, you can set goals for your week, goals for your month, goals for your year, just so you have a loose picture of like how you would like life to be. And it creates a focus in a way. But contrary to doing that also, you have to accept that you can't control everything. Sometimes wanting to control how a scenario turns out or how a person reacts creates stress within us, and we have to learn to accept that we can't control it, and in a way just learn to surrender, let go. So those are lifestyle choices that you can make to help manage stress in your life. Now I would like to focus on breathing techniques that you can incorporate into your life, called pranayama, breath of life. So our breath is our life force. It's something that our body just automatically does for us, thankfully, day in and day out, every second of the day. So it's hard to take advantage of our breath, to abuse our breath in a way, because it's just happening for us. So bringing more attention to the breath is just huge for a variety of reasons, especially when it comes to creating that link between the mind and the body. And once you create that link, you can start to heal, like using your mind, your breath to heal the body. There's two main ways that people breathe. There's different ways that people breathe, but there's two main ways. Generally, what I see happening is people breathing from their chest. Shallow breaths, just from the chest. This doesn't allow our body to get all of the oxygen that it needs. And shallow breathing only from the chest and the lungs, it creates more feelings of anxiety, and it's easier to trigger that fight or flight response that I mentioned earlier, and to tap into that sympathetic nervous system, and which is also that release of cortisol, which causes the stress reactions in our body. So chest breathing taps into the sympathetic system and stress. The correct way to actually breathe is called diaphragmatic breathing. So breathing from your diaphragm, which is this thin piece of tissue that's below the lungs. It's also called belly breathing. So the way to diaphragmatic breathe or to belly breathe is on the inhale, you allow your belly to expand and get bigger. That way you are filling your entire lung space when you have to also breathe from the diaphragm. And then when you exhale, have the belly contract and come back in. That way you're squeezing all of the oxygen back out. Let's practice this one here. When you're new to learning this way of breathing, I do like to place one hand on the chest, on the heart, and then one hand on the belly. That way you can feel the expansion of the tummy and the contraction of it. It may feel odd or uncomfortable at first, but just keep practicing, sticking to it. So inhale and expand. Exhale and contract. I like the connection of the hands on the body because it helps you come into the present moment a bit easier, and it connects you. Beautiful. Okay, let's release that one. So those are deep belly breaths. That one's probably my favorite. It helps you to tap into the parasympathetic nervous system, so that rest and digest, that peace, tranquility, serenity, calm feeling. Another pretty easy breathing technique, also breathing from the belly here, but you can inhale through the nose and then just exhale, release out the mouth. So. And then as you're doing this, you can begin to imagine that you were inhaling good, positive feelings and emotions. So like inhale love, peace, joy, and then exhale, release any pain, stress, or tension that you may be feeling and holding. And just tapping into these breaths for as long as it takes for you to feel calmer, more at peace, less stressed. One more breath, maybe two more breaths. So this one is called box breathing. You'll be breathing for counts of 5. So you'll inhale for 5, hold your breath at the top for 5, and then you exhale for 5, hold your breath at the bottom for 5. So let's practice this. So inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold your breath at the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold your breath at the bottom of the exhale for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice. Great. Box breathing. So maybe you can do those for counts of 5 and do it 5 times just to help tap into your breath and the present moment and that peace and calm that you find by tapping into the gift of our breath. Okay, last one. This one's kind of fun. It's called a lion's breath. So this one, you pretty much take a deep inhale through your nose, and then on the exhale, you stick your tongue out and breathe really deeply on the exhale, releasing any of that stress and tension that you're holding. So, for example, okay, let's do it together. Do it. It feels really good, and the deeper that you exhale, the greater that release of stress and the quicker that calm can come over you. Lion's breath. So that one is fun. Okay, so those are the breathing techniques that I wanted to teach you. Just to go over, it's the deep belly breathing, the box breathing, the visual breathing of the inhaling something good, exhale something bad, and lion's breath. And then just the simple inhale through the nose, exhale out the mouth, and release. So as you're doing your breaths, you want to be able to bring peace and calm towards you at the same time. Sometimes just focusing on your breath can do that, but you can also use visualization and like guided imagery and transport yourself mentally into a place that makes you feel happy. Go to your happy place. You can even take a few moments right now to decide, where is your happy place? You may know already, or you may need to create this place in your mind, and it can change every time too. So for example, my mind automatically goes to the ocean and the sound of the waves and the feeling of the ocean air coming across me, the smell of the ocean. I mean, I love being near the ocean. So I was born in Hawaii. I had moved away for 10 years and it called me back. And my soul is happier here. So find where your soul is happy and transport yourself there. And breathe. Another, my favorite way to prevent stress is having a strong meditation practice. So every morning I try to take a few minutes and meditate. There's different kinds of meditation. You can find meditations that work for you. But I usually do mantras, and then I also perform Reiki on myself, and also do visualization and all kinds of different meditation depending on the day. And then also having a strong yoga practice is important for my own stress management as well as prevention. The more that you're able to tap into feeling peaceful, calm, serene, the easier your body is able to adapt when it does come into moments of stress. So prevention is key. Prevention is the best cure. So practice, practice, practice. I'm hoping that you incorporate at least one of these breathing techniques into each of your days, at least once. The more the merrier, though. And so you may have heard, they say that stress is the biggest killer out there. And in a way, I do agree with that, because of the way stress can impact the mind, body, soul on so many different levels. A lot of ailments that are killing people, stress is a component of that ailment, and learning stress management skills is a good way to try and help start to heal those problems. So one of my passion products that I have been working on right now is my stress relief herbal tea blend. It is the first tea that I created that I am selling out of many that I would like to release in the future. But this one I decided to release first because stress it's rampant. I mean, everybody experiences stress, and it's not managed or even paid attention to enough, like how much stress impacts us on a daily basis. So I wanted to create something that to just help alleviate, and like an easy way to just make sure you are paying attention to your stress levels and helping to reduce them. And I love drinking tea, and I love the power of plant medicine. These plants were put onto our beautiful planet for us to use and make medicine from. So the ones I chose for this tea, it's all organic as well. It's oat straw, passion flower, lemon balm, chamomile, and skullcap. Those are the 5 chosen herbs. They're all safe herbs for the general public. And they are in a group of herbs that are called nervines. And these plants have powers that work with our nervous system, helping to calm and to balance and to restore our nerves. There's not many things that you can ingest that do that, which is another reason why I wanted to create this product. So stress relief, and it's great. For me, it's just very calming, balancing. It's something that you can drink at the end of the day. Some people turn towards alcohol at the end of a work day, which doesn't have any kind of health benefits to it, even though it could make you feel less stressed in the short run. But drinking this tea is like a replacement for that alcohol and that feeling that you get from it. And it's restoring your system, helping you to manage stress better. And these herbs generally help to reduce that feeling of anxiety, nervousness, irritability, depression, trouble sleeping. These herbs also, they help with those kind of conditions. Yeah, so you can buy this tea. It's on my website. You can order it, and I am now shipping them nationwide. So my website is www.dr, spelled out, amberjade.com, and then you can just go to the store tab, and it's at the top there, and I can ship it to you, and you can have your very own piece of my heart and creation coming to you from Hawaii. So it's filled with aloha and love as well. So that is it that I wanted to talk to you about today. I hope you found this beneficial and that you implement these skills into your life. Feel free to get in touch with me if you'd like to. On Facebook, you can send me a personal message if you have any questions. If you have any questions about this talk in particular, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I will reply to them later today. Thank you for joining me. Sending you so much love, light, and peace. Aloha.